Hi everyone, my name is Aslan Patev. I'm a CEO and founder of Gaia Living, a real estate agency out of Dubai. Today we have a new format, guys. We're going to be speaking to you out of YouTube or all other channels. We're trying out our best to deliver great content for you. So today we're going to be speaking to Atif, our investment advisor, on a range of topics, and I hope that you're going to like it. Hi, Atif.
Hi.
As you might know, our agency has been in the market for just a year and a half, and Atif has been with us for a long time, considering the amount of time we have been on the market. He's been great at delivering great service to our clients and has a few stories to tell today. Now, what you have to know about Atif is that his background, and I'm sure that Atif has much more to tell us today, but his background is in customer service coaching, and my background is also stemming from customer experience. So I do think it's going to be a nice and interesting podcast today, Atif. We're going to be talking a lot about customer service across a range of topics related to real estate.
Absolutely. Looking forward. As Aslan said, my background is in customer service. And another thing that, I want to add to that is that my experience within this country. Right, I was born here, was raised here, and I've seen the country grow through the ranks and go through the progress that it has. So I've seen it happen before my eyes, honestly. I've spent about 35 years in this country. So
that's impressive.
Yeah. So, combined with the professional background I have, I think I have a lot to add when it comes to understanding the market and not really predicting, but, understanding the trends, how they go, because we've been here for a while and we've seen it go. We've seen the highs and the lows from when it started, right? So I think that's the value I can add.
I think this is one of the most important things to consider, because in the end of the day, and I've heard this a lot of times, I've been in the United Arab Emirates for 9 years, and every time there is this bit of disbelief in the plans in the year 2030, in the 2040, in the 2050. All those plans, people keep saying, despite of that all progress that has been achieved in the last several years or decades, people keep saying that it's impossible. What do you have to say about that? What do you think about the reality and the future, basically? How do you think are we going to be achieving that progress?
If we look at track records and if we look at trends, it definitely was impossible. But I think that's the word that defines Dubai. They are the people who dream of the impossible and they achieve it. When we see the leadership of this nation, where did it start from? If I just go back in time, Sheikh Mohammed says that his father used to take him to where the Jebel Ali port is today. And he used to show it to him when he was a little child. And he used to ask him, what do you see? He says, well, I see the sea. He said, I see the largest port in the world. That's where the vision stems from. And that's the power of the vision that he has inherited. And he has taken us through that journey. And the place where we're at right now, they used to idolize Singapore. And they're way ahead, right? They've been idolizing great economies and they've been beating them all ends up. And we're at a stage where such a small nation has achieved, which very few have, right? So for me, for a person who's seen all that happen in front of our eyes, I do not have an inch or an iota of doubt that this can be achieved. Where we were, for whoever has seen what happened in 2008, right? The demise of the market, and then 2014 again, the way they rose back and the way they achieved what they have, I think it's just phenomenal. So, I wasn't in the real estate market back then, but I had sort of a fear factor that, this doesn't seem right. People invest money and then they lose money. It's so unpredictable. Bubbles burst. But eventually I saw how they corrected everything and how people gained their confidence back into the market, how they made money. And that's when I decided, this is the industry to be in. And to answer your question in short, I have no doubt that they will achieve it.
Yeah, me neither, honestly. It has been quite right for me as well since 2015, I think, late autumn. I probably moved here from London in October. And even back then, most of the stuff that we see in the market today was just inexistent.
Yeah.
Different opportunities for investors, if we're talking about real estate, including the short-term stay rentals like Airbnb, for example, was not in the market. And they did have difficulties entering the market. Today, they present a new cash flow opportunity, cash flow ROI opportunity for potential investors. But even if we forget about the real estate market in general, I've seen huge developers rise with the same level of vision, because this is contagious, right? When you see people reaching out to stars so many times over so many years, it also gives certain level of power to just basic human beings.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be a huge company, a huge developer, a huge any company, right? Just an individual who has a dream, a certain level of aspirations, and he just wants to go and go. He just wants to go and do it. Lots of different opportunities in Dubai for sure, for different people, different categories of people and companies.
As you said, it's not just real estate. Look at technology. Look at the companies who've got their regional offices here. You've got Oracle, you've got IBM, you've got Microsoft, you've got Cisco. Like, that's the tech sector. The real estate, I mean, I don't know how many developers we have, more than 100, more than 150.
I think we're officially contracted with 120 something. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, look at the size of opportunity. I mean, I think being not as large as other economies, maybe that gives them the flexibility. Because obviously when you grow larger than that you can handle, obviously pivoting or moving about becomes a bit more difficult. So they have been really flexible in the way they've shaped their economy, their policies, the way they've given the power, as you said, to the expatriates. It's not just about the locals. Maybe that was a perception people held back 20 years ago, that, you know, the nation would be for the locals, but not really. How many companies are, let's say, in the top 100 companies of Dubai, and they're owned by expats? More than 60%. So, I mean, yes, the power, the vibe is contagious. When I see you doing stuff, I'll go like, you know, why can't I? And I think that's the environment, the regulations, and the competition is obviously healthy, you know, because it's breeding the market. It's breeding. I mean, you can call it competition, but eventually what it's doing is it's growing the market.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When it comes to developers and the market itself, I think we have an impressive number of launches on a monthly basis across Dubai. I don't necessarily include Abu Dhabi in this case, but I think it's around 30 different launches a month. And I know that a couple of large developers, one of them is planning to have 2.5 to 3 launches a month, just one developer. Which means, for those who don't know, a launch is basically a process of introducing a project to the market, basically. Yeah. That's where the sales are starting. So that is impressive. And the market is still consuming all that inventory. What do you think about is there a bubble? What do you think about this bubble notion that is in the air for the last how many years? I don't know. You've talked about 2008. You talked about 2014.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, we never had those tools for a certain ROI, like cash flow ROI. For example, I just mentioned the short-term rental ROI.
Mm-hmm.
We did not have the Booking.com short-term rentals platform, although we had the Booking.com as a hotel booking platform. We did not have the Airbnb. Today, customers who are purchasing do not necessarily have to drop it purely based on capital ROI. They can keep it and do cash flow ROI. And the destination is great for it. Entertainment and leisure, all those new landmarks in Dubai that are popping up left and right, to be honest, like growing like mushrooms after rain. I think this is quite important to consider for anyone who wants to invest. But what do you think? Are we looking into a bubble today?
I was a firm believer in the bubble myself, till I realized, to understand if this is a bubble or not, you've got to see the steps the government has taken, right? How far have we come? And from generating all the demand locally, they've gone to generating demand regionally and then globally, right? So the best part that we of the position we are in right now, I mean, at our agency, amongst all the brokers, I think 70% of the clientele that we are handling is based out in North America and Canada. correct? Now, I'm not going to go into the reasons for that, but the reality stands is that there's so much demand into this region, mainly because of the progress, and obviously because of the ease of doing business here. People either want to have, their holiday homes in this region because obviously, as you said, leisure and vacations. I mean, they drive a lot of traffic into this country, right? And if I have a second home here, which can generate me cash flow throughout the year and obviously give me a place to stay when I travel here or I'm transiting, I mean, the number of passengers that transit through Dubai airport is the largest in the world. It's beaten Heathrow. It's beaten Japan. It's beaten the airport in the US. I'm forgetting the name.
Yeah, we have a few large hubs.
Yeah. So
one thing is in Hamburg. Then you have the Kennedy Airport and a few others in the United States.
It is. I mean, when you see that this airport, I mean, the number of people transiting from this airport stands at the highest compared globally, then it gives you a scale of the scale of the tourism industry. That's what's driving this interest. Obviously, the economy is driving this interest. The way it is shaping up, I mean, it is one of the top 10 growing economies globally, right? In the real estate market, there was a recent study I was just having a look at, and this is becoming the residence of choice for people who initially opted for the likes of, let's say, Miami and Bahamas, right? So the demand is global. That's why it's not coming to a standstill. The last report we saw that the per square foot rate was probably at the highest it's ever been. It's crossed 2008, right? And then it's only two ways it could go. It could either fall down if it was a bubble, or it could go further up. But I think the developers are playing it smartly now. They're not just releasing everything, and and everything's not just hitting the market right away, because the moment the supply increases more than the demand, that's where you have a risk. But right now, the good thing is that the supply doesn't seem to end. It doesn't seem to slow down, and the demand is on track with it. It's not overflowing the supply is not overflowing the demand. So I think there's a great balance. And I can see it continuing because of the global demand, not just the local or regional. If it was local or regional, yes, there would be a risk. There would be an end to it in the near future. Yeah. But all these people coming out from all over the globe, I think it is here to stay. I mean, obviously, nobody can really give you a perfect indicator. But the way it seems to be going, I think it's gonna sustain.
And we see that the government is quite reactive to anything going on in the economy. The recent introduction of an extension and easing of the golden visa process is one of those, I guess, because each time we expect a certain level of fall, for example, they do make certain steps to make sure that investors retain their investments, at least retain their investments and increase. I don't think you're going to get the same level of attention from every government across the world, which is quite impressive. Now, speaking of which, what areas do you like most in Dubai? What can you tell us about?
I mean, I think
since you've had like 35 years of experience living here, right? I guess you guys moved probably, or maybe not, but I have been there for like 9 years, and it's the picture is quite different for me because I haven't really seen real Dubai, probably, even after 9 years.
When you say that, what areas you like, I mean, I think it's such a diverse city that you've got something for everyone. So when people ask me, where should we invest, or where should we buy our house, or where should we go for rentals, it is very important to understand the objective, right? If you're looking for example, a community to stay in, there's so many great places. Like obviously Marina it's very tourist focused, correct? When you come to the likes of Bersha, JLT, these are places with a great community, right? So I like these. But when you talk about from the perspective of investing, I would say that if you're looking at rental returns, for example, Dubai Marina, Business Bay, these are the places which would always generate interest. Obviously because of the geographical location that they have. When people talk to me about generating capital returns, then I've been looking lately at places like Arjan, for example. The reason is that Arjan is a great location in terms of the geography. It's about 10 minutes from Dubai Hills. We know the value of the property in Dubai Hills. 15 minutes from Mall of Emirates, 20 minutes from Dubai Mall. It's a great location, and it's undervalued because I think it's underdeveloped. You've got one big hospital, you've got 3 hotels come up out there already because people do realize where it's going. And I think in the next 3-4 years, it's going to be a great location when it comes to
Even
investing
hospital.
for. There is Mediclinic, the biggest branch of Mediclinic.
Yes, actually,
Arjan.
yeah, actually there is one.
So the infrastructure is being built, and I see in the next 4 or 5 years, if I was purely investing for capital returns, that's the place I would go to.
Great. Quite a few areas on that side of Dubai. We're looking at huge development going on. Yeah.
I mean, for apartments, yes, but when you go to townhouses and villas, obviously you've got the entire strip which goes from Suqaim down to Al Qudra. You've got great localities, but I think the way the prices have been going, I wouldn't enter the market only purely for capital returns. For rentals, yes, definitely. For example, you've got Mudon, you've got ranches, and you've got the place of the town square. I mean, they will generate great rental returns. But I mean, it's a conversation you want to have. Rental returns or capital. I mean, you seldom get both. So you got to be really clear on the objective, the reason why you're investing. So that gives you a better idea where you want to put your money in.
The funniest thing here is that when you're offering clients to invest, you often cannot really offer the top places which are well known for investments. I mean, maybe not that well known, but we do have the data for many communities, and we see that International City, while not really being popular amongst our clients, is quite impressive. But not everyone's going to go to International City because investors are also biased. They would be looking at something that's going to buy their hearts, not only minds.
Yeah. As I said, the purpose has to be clear. And with the purpose, the budget has to be clear. So, for example, rental returns, in Dubai, they range from about 6% to 10%, right? And anywhere you go, you buy an apartment in Business Bay, it's going to generate you something within this range. International City is going to generate you similar returns. The thing is that it's a low-cost investment. So someone who's got, let's say, less than 500,000 dirhams of cash in their pocket, they want to buy an apartment and they want to generate rental returns. I have recommended people International City and they've gone towards that. Because it's about being honest. Like, guys, this is where you can invest with this money and generate the same percentage of returns you would otherwise get in other places in Dubai. Yes, if you've got 2 million dirhams in your pocket, I wouldn't recommend International City. I'll go somewhere else. Right? It's about making the best use of the cash you have. So International City has its own advantages. As I said in the start, Dubai is a diverse place. They've got something for everyone. So you just have to understand the need, the budget, and what the person is looking for. Every locality can get something very unique. They have their pros and cons.
Okay, I'm so obsessed with that Jebel Ali area, to be honest with you. Both sides of the Sheikh Zayed Road, because what I see in Abu Dhabi is astounding. I mean, the infrastructural projects, the museums, the way they're splitting up the city, the developers, the ones that were there, the ones that are coming up, the amount of people who are traveling back and forth, the offers that Abu Dhabi has to those who want to work and live in Abu Dhabi. It's just getting there, and I feel a lot of people, while today a lot of traffic is going from, or used to at least, a lot of traffic used to go from Abu Dhabi to Dubai, we'll see much more traffic going from Dubai to Abu Dhabi in the next several years.
Yeah.
And because of that, I do believe that this area in between these cities, at some point, we might even see a rise of the next Business Bay, the next downtown, the next.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if there is anything planned. To be honest, I just want to make sure that those who watch us don't get it for an insight. But I do believe that, economically speaking, it just does make sense, and it does make sense for both cities. And there's a huge port as well. So that's when it comes to commerce, which will attract residential, new entertainment, leisure services. And we do have another iconic destination, which is the Palm Jebel Ali. So I think that's going to be an impressive area, Al Maktoum's airport. we have the former expo site not too far, and an easy access to many roads. On top of that, you have so many opportunities to rebuild the roads infrastructure, because the area is untouched. So down the line, I believe that's going to be a very interesting place to invest.
Especially because there are limited opportunities for construction up north, right? So you basically got two places to, that's towards the south and then towards the Al Qudra Strip and all those. So this is where the maximum development is going to happen. But the interesting point you brought up is the commute to Abu Dhabi. Even now, the amount of traffic you see on the road towards Abu Dhabi in the morning, LY, and coming back, it's quite a lot, right? And yes, I think the Jebel Ali Strip will be a great addition to this. Not only this, but obviously more societies will continue to come up. And I think it's going to be interesting to see how this shapes up. But obviously, as you said, it's not an insight. It's just maybe an opinion. But it will be very interesting to see how this shapes up in the next 2 years.
I kept saying several years ago a lot about Abu Dhabi, also because on the consulting side, we used to work with one of their top developers. And it was clear for me that these guys have an ambition, and this ambition is going to be realized. It's a nice city, quiet. I actually like it a lot. But when it comes to tourism, Dubai is still holding that number one place still. And that also goes down to the awareness. But, at some point in the future, maybe things will change. No one knows. We also have a huge traffic now to and from Saudi Arabia.
Yes.
Which is developing and making crazy steps to become the next destination across the Middle East or world. Who knows? We'll see. And all right, we can move to the next topic. One of my favorites, since my background is in intelligence, not that type of intelligence. So while doing any market research, I was always curious about different trends, and I think one of those points we can deliver to our customers is all about the insights or foresights related to the lifestyle, related to the community they're going to live in. Because in the end of the day, you're not only buying into a specific property, into those square feet that you're buying, you're also buying into the amenities, into what the community has to offer, a certain level of self-sustainability, right? So what trends do you foresee in development in Dubai?
When you talk about community development, we've seen over the past few years that more than just building projects as standalone buildings, what developers have started doing is building communities. This is mainly for a few reasons. Obviously, to minimize the traffic flowing outside and inside the community. For example, we can take Dubai Hills by Emaar. We can take Heartland 1 and Heartland 2 by Shobha. We can take the Mac Hills. So what they do is they build an entire ecosystem, which is clinics, if not hospitals, schools, nurseries, and other amenities, for example, groceries and marts and all that stuff. They help build these to provide a complete ecosystem, because one objection was of the people living in Dubai that when you move to these communities, they're quite far off, right? So how do you make it easier? That's how they make it easier, by obviously extending everything that is available. When you talk about amenities, like if you go 10 years ago, every building came up with the standard amenities. There was a swimming pool, there's a gym, and there's a parking spot. That's about it. But now when you see that, they're having spas, right? They're having more sporting facilities. For example, there's padel, there is...
bringing in more lifestyle, basically, right?
Exactly. For example, if you go to Dubai, if you go to Danube Sports, for example, that's just one example. They've got about 7 or 8 sporting facilities inside. They've got a doctor on call. So, they're just increasing the amount of facilities available, and that's becoming the trend everywhere. And you've got these, sunbeds in some of the communities. They've got spas, and you've got barbecue areas, right? So this is now becoming the new norm. Earlier it was the standard amenities. Now it's all of these, and obviously you've got some smart homes coming up as well. I know about 5 or 6 different projects which are building smart homes. So I think this is where the trend is going to be. So more than like it used to be a good to have 5 years ago, which is now slowly going to become a must have. So if you really want to compete with the big boys, I mean, this is what you got to offer in the end.
And I think a lot of newcomers, a lot of startups are now playing in that exact area.
Yeah.
These are the ones who are pushing the trends further. Saunas, spas, lifestyle facilities like sporting, like you've just mentioned, and they go beyond that. They start introducing layers to the HVAC. Better air, better water, better everything. And I think in 2017, back in the days when we used to have a project with MR as a part of the consulting, I don't even remember people knowing so many brands in the market. So we did not have, I'm not going to be going through all the brands, but today you can easily get 10 to 12 brands from top of your mind.
Definitely, yes.
And as we said, we have around 120, 130 in Dubai alone. Back in the days, it wasn't the same. I mean, back in this, 7 years ago, it wasn't the same. And back then, they were quite kind of easy on themselves because the competition wasn't there. But today, these guys who are coming into the market and those developers are also coming from all over the world. They can be coming from Europe, Western or Eastern, from other Mid-Eastern states. And they all want to thrive. And they invest heavy. And they give you much more than what you could have received like back in the days, 2017, 2018. That's purely based on my experience. Extra things that I'm seeing as well are all based on the multisensorial perception. So the vision, the touch. We were talking about noise reduction in those communities. We're talking about better quality of services. So customer service, customer experience, a huge topic across all of the developers in Dubai. Today, in our Renaissance consulting practice, we're working with 4 developers, for example, and I believe 3 of them are startups. 3 out of 4. This kind of shows how much they want to thrive and how much they're ready to pay to remain in the game and make sure that they gain their piece of the pie.
And the reason why they're going into this particular space is this was pretty much unexplored, right? And it was something that wasn't really readily available through other developers. Now, obviously, trends always change. Now, when the new players come into the market, they're going to bring something new. So obviously, this is what we see right now, but it's hard to predict how it's going to go a couple of years down the line.
Yeah. No, it is impressive, and I'm being quite meticulous to many things. Like when I invested personally, and the reason why I invested, for example, in 2017 was due to the fact that I didn't want to pay rent. So I'm the type of investor who wants to save by investing rather than earn. Yeah. You have that type as well. Here I am.
Yeah, I mean, when a penny saved is a penny earned, right? So
yeah.
That's how it is. Definitely, yes. And I think you mentioned something about branded residences and amenities.
Yep.
Yeah. So there's an organization by the name of Branded Residences Research. I think that's the name, and that's what they do. So recent trends show us that branded residences from 2014 to 2024, the past 10 years, the number of properties going towards branded residences, the growth has been, do you know how many percent has been the growth?
I have no idea.
400%.
So it quadrupled.
Yeah, it was over the past 10 years, it was 400%. Yes, quadrupled. Only the past 5 years, if you see, was about 127%. And the forecast for the next 5 years is it's going to grow a further 130%.
Is it a global data? Or
it is a global data.
It's a global data.
Yes, but what's going to happen is globally it's going to slow down because other countries were doing it before Dubai was. Obviously, they grew at a faster rate than Dubai did. So they slowed down a bit. But obviously, what Dubai has seen now is the potential this particular market has, right? So of all the standalone projects that are going to come up in the all over the world, these are non-hotels, and these are standalone residences who have partnered up with brands. For example, could be automobile brands, could be fashion brand, could be jewelry brands. That's going to be at least 43% of the properties globally, but it's going to be much higher in Dubai. So Dubai is now going to invest more heavily into the branded residences market. I mean, yesterday we saw a property by Mira launched in partnership with Bentley that was just exquisite. And the finishing, the amenities that come with it, and the furniture is also branded by Bentley, right? So, I mean, you've got Mercedes by Ben Gati, you've got Bentley, and then you've got a project by Armani as well. Arada is launching it. So you've got the interest.
Well, quite a few of them, yeah.
Yes.
No, and I just want to add to that I do feel that Dubai is going to be ahead of everyone else. I do believe that 137% or whatever that number was, growth around the world is probably going to be twice or three times of that in Dubai.
Yeah.
We're going to be seeing it 2 or 3 times
Yes.
of that number in Dubai. Now, and the reason for that is very simple. There is demand. There is demand, and developers, we know about the collaboration with Nobu as well, for example. So it just doesn't go to jewelry or fashion brands only, or automobile brands. We have Bugatti, Mercedes-Benz. We mentioned Bentley by Mira, and there is going to be more. There is going to be more, and I'm quite curious of what's to come. The only thing I believe the brands have to be worried about that do put their names on these developments is the quality. What do you think about the quality of development in Dubai, the trend? What do you see happening? Because a few years ago, across many projects, people did have concerns about the quality of delivery by this or that developer. Do you think the same happens today? And when it comes to customers that you're talking to, what do you suggest?
It used to come as a concern, but now what I've seen lately is, for example, yesterday's launch by Mira. And this is a trend I've seen over the past few weeks. Now what developers are doing, they're giving guarantees, right? Guarantees on the finishing, guarantees on the furniture, right? So Mira gives a 3-year guarantee, for example. Now this is a trend which I've seen slowly develop. And I think to counter this objection, this is a great step. Because if you are concerned about the quality of the finishing or the build quality or anything for that matter, if I put a guarantee on the paper, I mean, that pretty much takes care of that. So I think, even if it was a concern, it is being handled the right way. I think this is, we're going to see more of this now, especially by the new developers, because obviously the concern doesn't, come up when I use Emaar as an example, or if I use Shopify, or use Ellington or Miras or Eldar. It comes up when I, talk about a new developer, a new project to the client, and you go like, what is the quality like? And if I put a guarantee on the table, written and signed off, that pretty much takes care of that.
Take a decision. One more thing that we have to keep in mind, that guys, we're not only looking into the influx of new developers in Dubai. Together with new developers, we're getting new contractors, construction companies, architectural bureaus, design bureaus, production houses that do anything, all the way from the tiles and factories, the tiles to furniture. And that this is important to realize. This is happening, somewhere under, we don't see that it's actually happening, but the suppliers are changing for the furniture. The suppliers for the workforce are changing. The suppliers for ideas and design are changing. The architecture suppliers are changing. And this market today is a very different market. And it's a very different reality for experienced developers as well. One of those things that surprises me till date is when customers are asking about whether or not they can actually invest into this or that startup because they haven't built anything yet. Yeah, and
Yes.
we have a bunch of those, which is an interesting question. Probably it would have come from me as well if I was not in the market. But hey, there are a few things that we have to keep in mind, right? And those things in the market, those mechanisms are supposed to protect the customer.
Yeah.
We're talking about escrow.
Yes.
We're talking about the general legislation, which has been updated so many times since 2008. And this country has seen failures of certain projects, and they've learned from it.
Yeah.
And we've learned from it. We're moving forward.
Yeah.
It's difficult to slay a project in Dubai.
Yeah.
It's difficult to get into the market if you don't have a certain bank balance. It's difficult to buy land if you don't have a certain portfolio.
Yeah.
So there are reasons why you're protected, and you can buy from those new upcoming brands. We've mentioned a few during the show today, and I think being Aslan, basically, who invested in Ellington in 2017 into their first project, I would be much more comfortable investing in startups today than I used to be in 2017.
And do you think the reason is the price point or the new amenities they bring to the market?
I think it's a general trend. Remember when we used to trust factories and certain brands only, and then we've got these platforms like Kickstarter and Indiegogo, where you've got these brilliant minds putting together some, and obviously there was a lot of fake as well. People didn't make it to production, and the expectations were ruined. There were lots of those cases as well. But we have so many brands that came out of those platforms, and I'm looking at Dubai today when it comes to real estate, just like I looked at Kickstarter back in the days. It's an individual. You trust him. More so because he's a human being, not just a company, a name, a brand. It's someone who really stands behind what he's doing and tries to bring something new to the market. As long as he's getting support, he's succeeding. And that's, I think, what I'm seeing in the market today. There is much more trust to individuals building something, much more trust to startups coming to the market, or a collective of individuals trying to perform something new.
So you're a believer.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. Guys, so I think now it's time to
Switch sides?
switch sides. Yes, right. So Aslan, a few questions for you as well. I mean, looking at your experience in the market, especially real estate, and obviously being in Dubai overall for about 9 years, you said. So if you were going to make an investment today, what would it be? An apartment or a villa, and why?
Okay. Well, in my circumstances, I would definitely go for a villa, but it has nothing to do with investments. So let me try to represent an investor here. The thing is, when you invest in apartments or villa, higher yields are normally expected from exclusive projects. It can be anything. We have buildings here which have an inventory stock of penthouses only. And that is impressive. You basically have only one neighbor on the floor, and you don't have to share your elevator with too many people. But those projects, while the entrance can be pretty low, they can shoot to the moon at some point. We've seen an interesting example of, I don't remember the level of appreciation, but we're talking about Atlantis the Royal, for example. Yeah, it was tripled, quadrupled, I don't remember, but it just
shot up.
Yeah.
Right.
When it comes to villas, I would probably not invest into villas to gain some cash flow ROI from the rental. If I would invest into villas, I would probably, like the Mac Hills was one of those examples where people succeeded, but after how many years?
Yeah.
The configuration of the market, the situation had to change before they got their 2x on the prices. So it's not the question about, in my case, it's not the question of an apartment or a villa. It's the question of who is your investment advisor and how much knowledge he has over the market. Not of what is, but what it would be. And based on that, I would obviously have in this equation a bit of that brand, branding, branded apartments as well, exclusivity, the number of inventory and so on. I would take that decision.
And when you say, and is it true that the service charges for villas and apartments are different, are considerably cheaper in the villas?
Different aspects are cheaper in villas. You might be paying twice the price for DIWA, for example.
Yeah.
While the service charge in your apartment is going to be something totally expected, while you're not going to be paying it in the villas.
Yeah. To round off this question, is there any project which you see today in the villa segment which you would be interested to explore?
In the villa segment, well, I like quite a few brands when it comes to configuration. What I don't like about that specific destination is the infrastructure around the community. And that is going to change. I'm talking about Hassa Street primarily and MAFS, Tilal Al Ghaf.
Okay.
So I do like the concepts. They really took some time to think through the space, the usage of the space, the application of different lifestyles. They have the experience zones, they have the zones outside, inside, they have nice lakes. We're not talking about lagoons. I think it's a lake. You have elevators, you have, all the procedures for handicaps, for example, to live freely in those communities. I think they're great. This is something I would definitely invest in. And to be honest, I've never returned back to this question. I explored the community a couple of years back. To date, I haven't seen anything that has impressed me more than that. Yeah.
Okay.
We're talking about a certain price point, right? Back then, it used to be around, I don't remember, $3-4 million. That was maybe less. I think it was starting from 2.5, and all the way up. There were quite a few phases.
Great. Okay. We have a few questions popping up, and one of them is out of curiosity. I mean, even I'd like to know: is it possible to buy real estate in Dubai through cryptocurrency?
We know that there are stages to payment, yeah, and we know that a lot of cryptocurrency startups took off in Dubai. As to buying completely, I think it's going to be difficult to a certain extent, but you would probably find developers who are accepting cryptocurrency for certain payments. It can be a down payment or a booking fee or things like that. So the short answer is yes, but then there is a but. And we have to be honest about the types of payments that can be done with cryptocurrency.
Right. So at some point it can be helpful, but not entirely.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's. I do think that certain developers might have already facilities or preparing those facilities, or maybe the Web 3.0 banks like WIO, for example, at some point might be providing those facilities of exchange. But today, it's just picking up.
Great. Aslan, I'd also like to touch upon something which I haven't read about much and haven't heard about much either. What's your take on commercial properties and their demand, and how do you see that shaping up in the next 4 to 5 years?
Honestly, I think commercial property was in my ears in the last couple of months, like literally coming from every single corner of Gaia. And here's the thing. We've been looking for our office space for 6 months, and we finally found one, which we're pretty happy with, but it is difficult. I do think there is a lack of commercial space in Dubai. And in the future, we see that there are projects and plans to build more commercial spaces. And when we say commercial, it does not necessarily mean retail. It can be offices. It can be anything else. We do have lots of startups as well, providing co-working spaces, and they lack the space, the amount of space that is availed in certain communities. Across the Sheikh Zayed Road, for example, as you go towards Abu Dhabi on the right-hand side, actually the side we're in now, you do have plenty of smaller spaces. But those are not enough to roll out big operations. And then you have the skyscrapers in Business Bay, for example, and in some other places, which are packed like ant houses. And in some cases, you do have these. When you say outdated in realities of Dubai, it means like 10 years old probably. Elevator systems, which might not be smart enough to sustain that load of people going up and down, especially during lunch times or peak hours in the morning, in the evening. So there is a definite need in commercial spaces. There is a definite lack of commercial spaces. Certain communities did not even have it in their configuration in the plan. Not enough, at least. I think in JVC we're looking at like 1-2 buildings with business like offices availed. I don't think there is anything else. Obviously a lot of retail, a lot of commercial spaces for salons and whatnot. But if you want to open an office, that's going to be an issue. So whenever you have a conversation about commercial space with your investment advisor, make sure that you have patience.
And that's mainly because of the wide variety available, but not just the right fit.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not just so easy to find. As you said, you spent 6 months. I mean, you knew what you wanted, but it still took you quite a long time, right?
Absolutely. I mean, if you go to one of those aggregated platforms, you're going to see a lot of stock of various types of, but in good places that you would consider seriously, you wouldn't find any. And that's the reality of the market today.
Just before we wind up, Hassan, something just came up in my mind while you were talking about aggregator platforms. So, at times people do think of that, why do we really need a broker? Why do we need an agent to work on our requirements when we can go to these websites and just put in the filters and get what we want? So, I mean, I understand what is the value a broker brings, but could you spend the next 1 minute talking about, like, when there are these aggregator websites available, why do you really need someone who could understand the need and, furnish something that you want?
Well, let's split the markets first of all, right? Aggregator platforms are primarily looking into the secondary. And operations in the secondary are pretty difficult on their own. You will have to be represented, or one of the sides will have to be represented by a broker anyway, because it's a trustee office, it's different types of contracts, it's the spec and forth with and knowledge of when and what has to be submitted. Understand, and the good broker is going to take you through all that hassle, all that process. Finding the right unit for the right price and being able to bring that person down, the seller down, is also the broker's job. You won't be able to bring up enough evidence of a good price on your own. We do provide a lot of access to different platforms. So we're talking about the secondary platform, secondary market analysis platform. We're talking about the off-plan market platform. There are many things that you guys have access to, and that is all being brought in, and you guys are being exposed to it because we want every broker to be educated, knowledgeable about secondary and off-plan. Now, when we speak about off-plan, what's the time frame one would take to go through the stocks of 120 or 130 developers to find the right fit?
A few months?
Yeah, exactly. And besides, you're talking about what? Probably around 80 or 90 being well-known and visible. Well, I wouldn't say well-known, but visible. Around 20 to 30 developers, so that's like 20%, 25% being recognized, and then lots of stuff that goes into that last the 30% of those developers that are not exposed, that are hidden somewhere, like those little gems. And the broker is the person who's going to help you uncover this, take you by hand, and guide you through the market.
Great. I think that was great information. Thank you, Aslan, for being with us.
All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed the show today. It was Atif and myself, Aslan. We've been through a range of topics. Thank you so much, Atif, for visiting us today. I'm pretty sure we're going to have more and more conversations.
Definitely.
And let's conclude. Meet up again next time.
Definitely. Great. Thank you, Aslan, and I hope to see you guys again.
Thank you.
All right.